This is episode 57 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. On this episode, I sit down with Kyle Southgate and my buddy Matt Mccabe to chat about their evolution as hunters. This podcast is brought to you by Kifaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersman gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives made in the heart of the Peace Country. And as always, we're brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop. Cool. So Matt's been on here before. Matt was on with Jeff Agostino and our buddy Cole and Justin there. And you guys are kind of like hunting partners, kind of, right? Or I think Kyle is your Ronnie, right?
Yeah, Kyle's my Ronnie for sure. Been fortunate enough to hunt with Kyle the last few years, and we've definitely had a lot of success.
That's sweet.
That's true.
And Kyle, you've been at it a long time, eh?
Yeah. Definitely a long time for sure. I don't even know how many years, long time.
Did you grow up hunting?
I did, yeah. So I grew up hunting with my dad. I stepdad and real dad. Probably when I remember dragging a rope behind me, chasing whitetails with the dads. I was probably 5 or 6 kind of thing. So nice. Definitely 30 years ago.
Wicked. And where are you from?
Cranbrook, down in the southeast corner there.
Nice. And that's kind of your Coots connection there, hey Matt?
Yeah, you got it.
That's awesome.
Location redacted.
Yeah, no kidding. At least it's a big enough area. It should be okay. I've done a couple of these things.
Yeah, Region 4, it's huge.
Yeah, I've done a couple of these things where like I say like at the front end of it, hey, like let's not do any spot burn and let's not say anything, and then guys get going on stories and they're like naming drainages and like landmarks and stuff. Such a pain in the ass for me to edit after the fact, right? I don't want to wreck anyone's spot.
Yeah, I think last time you spent a good 2 weeks editing, so hopefully not this go around.
Yeah, no, that was a long podcast too.
I'm like the Iceman, so you'll have to fucking beat me to get it out of me anyway.
That's perfect. That's what you want. Yeah, guys with good spots won't tell. That's good.
Well, it's guys, you just ruin it for yourself, right? You shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
And these spots that I hunt, I got them from my dad, right? So it's disrespectful for him.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. I've been stealing spots steady from Ronnie, so I can't tell anybody them.
That's good.
Yeah. So you got
big ships, bud.
Yeah, exactly. So you got a pile of animals in the ground there, Kyle.
Yeah, I've had a very successful hunting career, if that's what you'd call it, or just a lifestyle. But I've had pretty good opportunities too. Yeah,
I'm just cruising through your Instagram, and it's like I think we're crossing off most of the species in BC here. Hey,
actually, yeah, this year I actually finished my North America 10 Slam.
Nice.
So that's I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of digging, but I think I'm the youngest guy in BC.
Nice. How old are you?
I'm 37. There's one other guy that might have done it, but I don't know if he's officialed it or not. But I don't know if I'm going to official mine or not, but there's some guys that are from Alberta that have done it.
Yeah.
I think Pat Garrett did it when he was like 27 or maybe 24. Like he was really young.
Doesn't count. He's not from BC.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've never kept track of it or seen it. It was just a goal that I wanted to accomplish. And it took me a bunch of animals. And then, after you get close, like, you got 2 more to go and you're like, oh, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. I wanted to do it before I was 40 and I did it.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. So what's your favorite species to chase there? I think I know the answer.
I'm an elk hunter, man, by heart. I mean, I love chasing sheep, but I love hunting elk. There's something to say about waking up and hearing them bugles in the dark. I'm an elk hunter by heart for sure.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one that I could hunt for the rest of my life, it would be elk.
Yeah, it's hard to shake that elk boner, man. Like they're so fun.
Oh yeah, and it's like once you're successful and you're doing it, like I could get it for some guys. It's that don't kill elk lots. It gets frustrating. It's a frustrating animal to hunt, right?
Yeah.
But I've just been lucky and very lucky and opportunity in Region 4, right? Like for me, it's I love it.
I mean, you hear a lot of guys that that struggle in Region 4 saying that there's no 6 points left.
Well, like it depends where you hunt, I guess. Like I know as the years have moved on, I don't want to say struggle, but usually I can go, leave early in the morning and I got 4 or 5 spots I like to stop and call into. And usually by the end of it, stopping all on spots, I got, half a dozen bulls bugling. So it's, just pick which one you want to go. In the last 2 years, it's kind of slow. Like you got maybe 1, maybe 2 to chase, but and when Lady Luck's on your side, that's all that matters, right? Like me and Matt hammered that big 6x6 this year, and it was on the first night. Basically, we hunted. So
yeah, we passed one up that morning too, and then hammered that one in the evening, all on the first day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say the elk population's doing okay in BC for the most part, right?
Yeah, I think our population is definitely dwindling a little bit. Where I hunt, some spots there's no elk left, but where I typically have hunted as a kid and into a teenager, young adult, an old man now. It seems like those elk just find different patches, right? Like if you're just going to drive around and try and chase elk and go on the road, you're going to have pretty low success. And Matt knows, like we give her, we hike, we go into road closures, and you just do what it takes to kill an elk.
Yeah,
sometimes it takes a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of only way to do it right is actually boots on the ground.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, probably next close. I mean, I love hunting mule deer. I've got a couple big mule deer bucks from early season hunting, and they're pretty neat. I mean, it's just the country, right? Same as sheep. Like it's not so much the killing a ram; it's just being where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I killed a bighorn, and I was pretty young when I got it. I got a stone pretty young, so I mean, it's just it's off the bucket list. I'm not really the diehard sheep hunter like a lot of guys are, where they just sheep, and good for them, man. It takes you into some awesome places, but it's just, I want to be able to experience a lot of things in life with a hunting career. And I've traveled a bunch of places and been to Kyrgyzstan and Africa. And, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of that. I'd love to hear about, I mean, I think given that all of us on here right now are from BC, I think the first stop should be, let's hear about that first stone sheep.
Oh, I don't even know how old I was. I was probably only
He was 10 years old.
I was mid-20s. It was my first trip. I got lucky. We actually backpacked into one drainage. We were in there for 3 or 4 days, me and my buddy Dwayne Hoyt, and we'd seen a nice ram, and we were going to make a play on it. And a couple of guys from Bernie actually ended up killing it.
Bastards.
So yeah, and it was a nice ram, 9-year-old, 39-inch ram with just a beautiful sheep. And we met them at the trucks on the way out, and he just gave us a hot tip on a legal ram, and we were up there that night and found them. And so we slept on them that night and woke up the next morning and humped up there and killed them.
Wicked.
And then, I mean, he's just a nice ram. It's just nothing special, just the first ram. I'm happy with him. Mm-hmm. And then we went after for Dwayne's ram, and we hiked into a drainage. We were going to go for like 5 or 6 days. I think on day 3 in that drainage, we ended up spawning a big band, and one like 40-incher on one side, he was busted right off on the other, like big white cape. It's actually the same drainage we killed Matt's ram in, and we went back there and we ended up busting him out, and it sucked because we watched him fly right over the top of the mountain, never to be seen again. And, walk of shame back to camp half a day, and the next day we were done. We just pulled the pin and we come home. So that was pretty much my first trip. It was lots of miles, and we killed one, but watching a ram of a lifetime run away and over the top of the mountain into Never Land sucks.
That's heartbreaking.
Oh, huge.
I was kind of thinking about this the other day, right? I think a lot of us guys that spend a bunch of time in the field and kind of live for this stuff, I think maybe you sort of need one or two of those like really gnarly heartbreaks, like the ram of a lifetime to go over that ridge and never to be seen again to keep you going, you know?
I was just going to say that's what keeps you going. Just seeing them and knowing they're out there, even if you're not harvesting them, just keeps you going.
I've had some dirty trips up north. I mean, my buddy killed like a big 11.5-year-old 160-inch ram, double broomed. Same thing. It was a grind for like a week. We just couldn't come up with any rams, and like rams, we couldn't find a ram.
Yeah.
Back, and same thing, the same drainage we killed Matt's ram in, and had a huge snowstorm, and woke up the next morning and there was a pile of rams in this one basin, and one was a hammer, and we hiked up there and got in on them and waited for hours and hours and hours at about 700 yards for them to come down and feed. And finally they came down and fed to about 200 yards, and they actually fed too low, so we couldn't see them anymore. So we had to like crawl over this little knob to see them a little bit. And just something in the back of my mind was like, man, I think there's one more ram here. And then I just seen all the rams started leaving. There was this ram up above us that didn't fully come into the basin. He was just kind of hiding in the rocks. You know, your typical half-year-old kind of watching out for all his buddies. And it was chaos. There was rams running everywhere. The lead ram was just like a big tractor horn ram, like tire ram. He's just thick and long and just an old dude. And we killed him, and that was the end of the trip. There was another 8-year-old thin ram there that I could have shot, but I'd already killed one like that, so I didn't want to shoot him. But it was a grind for sure. And I think, like, Matt's ram was pretty cheesy. We got it done in a couple of days, but I owe that to being time in that valley, like knowing where to look, knowing where to be, knowing how to get there. So, I mean, yeah, that ram come easy, but if that was our first time in there, probably wouldn't have come that easy.
Yeah.
And Matt, what do you think? I think that's the way that sheep hunting goes.
Yeah, it was short and sweet for sure, but not to take away from the miles we put in and all the hard work to get it done. But I think that's fair to say that if you'd never been in there before, we probably wouldn't have killed a ram that fast.
I mean, I've always been a firm believer of hard work based on, right? I mean, we give her. The weather was pretty crappy. Hey?
Yeah.
It's some unnecessary walking, got wet for no reason kind of thing, but man, it was we give her. So I mean, the hard work paid off. Obviously, we just got it done in 3 days. Could have been 10.
Yeah. Could have not happened. One thing that I wanted to touch on, and I do want to get back to sheep here because I want to hear about that first bighorn and maybe compare the two. But one thing I wanted to mention, because you guys have a similar relationship to like me and Ronnie. I think you guys are just about 10. What's your age difference? Like a decade?
10 years exactly.
Yeah, that's the same as
birthday.
Yeah, that's the exact same as me and Ronnie. Ronnie's 9 years and 364 days older than me. So there you go. And I was gonna say, like, having that mentorship and having somebody that has the experience in the field doing the stuff that you want to do. It's hard to explain for somebody that's not going through that, how kind of invaluable that is. It's insane.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's hunting Mccabe definitely been huge for my success and learning. And he's definitely taken me to a lot of places that I never would have got to experience without him. And like elk hunting, my elk hunting success is one thing. Like success was not what it is now. Prior to hunting with Kyle, it's definitely increased tenfold.
That's awesome. You do you take a lot of satisfaction in helping guys out, Kyle?
Oh yeah, I'm always like give credit where credit's due, right? Like I first met Matt. I was at FNOS. I'd won a sturgeon fishing trip, and I ended up with his brother. He was guiding me, and then I think you were deckhanding. I think Matt, were you? Yeah,
that was before I started guiding. I was deckhanding for Nick back then.
So we all hit it off, like me and Nick. We all hit it off, and I brought a couple of buddies that I still hunt with to this day with me, and my uncle, and we just hit it off and fished for 2 days and caught some big fish, a lot of fish. And then at the end of it, we kind of just shook hands and, hey, I owe you guys. Come down elk hunting. I'll take you out. Hopefully it works. And it's ever since Matt's come down, I don't think we missed a year where we haven't killed a bull.
Yeah, no, I think we've killed a bull every year.
That's what I could.
So
at least a bull.
Well, I mean, it all started with a payback, I guess you'd call it, but it turned into a friendship for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
And then it's just, you find that person that you just like to hunt with and you're successful with because you both have that mindset of, here's the reward, but to get that reward, you gotta give her, right? And there's not a lot of guys that are willing to put in that time and effort. And
yeah, to have that drive.
So I'm like that with my kids. I love taking my kids out with my wife.
Yeah.
We've all hunted for the whole family, and I love seeing other people be successful. 100%. Like, I had no problem going with Matt last year and 3 days killing around and be like, oh, I'll go home. It doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see him kill his first sheep, and that was I was probably happier for him than he was for when he killed his first round. It's just that's just the type of guy that I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also, Kyle also passed up a ram that was standing right beside mine. That was 8 years old. It just totally legal ram. Just wasn't what he was looking for up there this year too, which I admired and thought was pretty cool, especially for a guy that already has a stone sheep. He wanted something special, and we just couldn't come up with anything more where we were that was really special, and the weather was super crappy and there was a big storm blowing in. So we ended up pulling out, I think on day five from our sheep hunt this year.
Yeah.
That's wicked. That's super wicked. It's cool to hear about how guys develop these relationships, and like you're saying, you took as much satisfaction in Matt killing his first ram as you would have killing a nice ram on your own. That's like Ronnie too, like whenever we go out, like half the time the guy doesn't even bring a gun. It's funny, guys that have found a lot of success and are really have really kind of crafted or honed their skills rather, and they're at the point where they're like ready to kind of pass some of that knowledge on. You can tell it's not even about cutting tags and stuff like that anymore. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I spent a lot of time hunting with my dad, and I still hunt with my stepdad. My dad doesn't do it anymore. He had a heart attack pretty young in his life and can't really do it anymore. But my stepdad still, he hunts. I mean, the hunting's kind of gone downhill around here. My mom doesn't need it, so he doesn't hunt nearly as much as he does. But me and him try to make, one special trip every year or every other year to kind of go and do, the boys thing. And I really enjoy it. And like the stuff that my dad's passed down to me, my boy's just getting into hunting now. Like I don't want to say I feel like Matt is my son or nothing, but it's a younger generation of hunters that pass down that knowledge and that history. And it's nice to see that like guys like him and Cole and Jeff and those younger guys, hunting is going to be in good hands for a long time.
Yeah.
With guys like that, the conservationists and everything coming up behind us.
Yep.
It's good. It's good to see.
Yeah, no kidding. Matt, your whole crew there, I mean, those guys are all rock solid. I'm glad we all became friends there. It's cool to see what you guys are doing and kind of leading the charge for the young folks quite a bit. So that's cool. Let's turn to that bighorn, that first bighorn. And I need to pose the question. What's tougher to kill in BC, a stone or a Rocky?
Oh, Rocky, buddy.
Agreed.
I've seen 3-4 stone sheep die, and I've seen a couple bighorns die, but it took me my first trip stone sheep hunting I killed around. It took me 7 years to kill a bighorn. So, and I hunted harder for bighorns. I mean, I definitely let some legal rounds go that were like, he could be there, he couldn't be there.
Yeah.
Take some pictures, some video, show a buddy, oh, that's a big ram, you should go kill it. Well, you get there the next day and either an outfitter killed it or somebody else has killed it, right? So I definitely let a couple rams go that I should have shot, but I waited. Mine's a BC buck. It's a big ram, but he's like 2 inches legal. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And I haven't killed a bighorn since for myself. I've helped buddies kill bighorns, but yeah, it was, that was a big one. I knew that ram was there. I'd seen him in the summer, but he was kind of hanging out in the guides area. And where I killed him, one area, if he hops over the top of the mountain, he's not in a guidable area. So he was kind of living in both. He was flirting is what he was doing. But come hunting season, I lost him. I couldn't find that ram until the last week of the season. And I found him glassing, and I had a buddy with me, and we went up, and we got in on the ram, and the fog moved in, and we lost him. I tried making it. I knew where he was, so I kind of tried sneaking through the fog to get super close to him, and I ended up busting him out, and I was just like, I cried. I was like, this is it. I'm never going to find this ram again. It took me 2 months to find him after I found him in the summer. Game over. I'm never going to find him again.
Yeah.
But we walk off the mountain, get back down, and my parents had actually drawn a moose tag. So I was going to rip into the backcountry and give them a hand that next morning. And I'm glad I did, because this is kind of where everything fell into place. I went in to their camp, and they were gone. There was a note on the wall tent that said, moose down last night. We're headed back in early to get the moose. There's only 2 roads into this moose where you can hunt. One's a road closure, and one's just a really shitty road. So obviously they were on the shitty road. So I drove in there, and sure enough, there was my mom and my stepdad trying to drag this moose up. He took the tailgate off the truck. He was trying to drag this moose up there. So I helped them, and we got it out and got everything back to camp. And we went to go to camp. It was just about dark when I got back to where I'd seen this ram, and I thought, I better look up there again. And I pulled over right where he was 2 days before. He's laying in the basin in the sun. I videotaped him till dark, and then the next morning we went up super early with another buddy.
Probably didn't sleep worth a shit.
No, slept like shit. Back in by 4 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Got up onto the ridge, and I'm like, man, I'm glassing. I can't find him. My dad's at the bottom glassing, and we just can't come up with this ram. And so I'm glassing for about 45 minutes into the daylight, and I just can't come up with this sheep. I don't know where it is. I literally stand up, look across the rocks, and he's like standing in the rocks looking at me like 200 yards away.
So what are you doing?
Oh, ram, get down. So we get down, and me and my buddy were laying across our packs, and I'm like trying to get ready to get on this thing and kill it. And he's trying to get the video camera to videotape. I said, no, let's just kill this thing. And that ram, actually, he didn't even give me a really solid sideways look. He stood the bridge of the nose, both sides. Kind of like Agostino's ram, just a beautiful ram. I dumped him and watched him roll like 100 yards down a cliff, down into a big slide. Holding my head, swearing like there's going to be nothing left. Both horns are busted off for sure, right? Like I'm nervous. So I made my buddy go down there, and he's like, oh, no, it's all good. Come down here. So I went down there, and he busted a little bit off his one side, but still in good shape. And yeah, it was a haul. I didn't think it was going to work, but when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And that was obviously meant to be. But
that's wicked. That's so wicked. It's when you say, it took you 7 years to kill your first bighorn. I think a lot of guys hear that and they go, oh yeah, it took 7 years of hunting. And I don't think folks know what that means or what that looks like. And I mean, what kind of time were you putting in from never having hunted bighorns to having killed one? Like how much ever? Because I know you kind of said in the story there that you had been watching him before the season even, right?
Well, at the time I was working at the mine, so I was 4 on 4 off. So I was basically 4 days off, just hiking in there and trying to find them, and tons of time, right? So, and that's all. When you want to kill a bighorn, that's what you do. You don't hunt elk, you don't hunt mule deer. I mean, you can, but chances are you're probably not. You devote your time to hunting bighorns, right? So when we eat all our wild meat. I don't buy much meat at the store, so it reflected the family for a lot of years because well, Kyle's out wasting time chasing bighorns when he could be hunting elk and supplying meat for the family, right? But
Yeah.
And then after I killed my bighorn, I took some time off, man. I went on a huge elk streak and I killed a pile of elk every year for like, I don't know, man, like 11 years or something. Like it's been
I think 11 years. Yeah.
And then, my buddy Emery drew a tag down here, and
location redacted.
Location retracted because it's kind of similar. But anyways, we killed that, and that was a big ram. That was probably that's the biggest ram I've ever seen taken off there. There's been a couple bigger, but me personally, I've seen 3 rams die in there, and hands down, it's bigger than mine and bigger than a couple other buddies. But it's pretty nice to get back into that mountain range on sheep again.
Yeah,
you miss it.
Very cool.
Sure.
Very cool. I feel like the how do I say it? Like the spotlight is stolen a little bit from Rockies because of stone sheep, you know? Like I very rarely hear people get on bighorn stories.
Oh man, I got a couple really doozy bighorns. I mean, I'm gonna throw my buddy Kyle Dalkey under the bus, and I really hope that he listens to this, because a few years ago I spotted this legal ram in the same spot, and I took him up after it. We found this ram. We watched him all day. We were just waiting for him at bed, and this ram ended up, I don't even know why, he just pulled the pin and left the basin, and it was getting pretty late in the day, and he had to be home because I think he had a doctor's appointment, and I was like, are you fucking dying? Like, can you not cancel it? Like, we got to kill this ram. The doctor's appointment, I'm sure you can reschedule. Hindsight, we never ended up going. He had to go home, so we left. So I told another buddy about him, and he went up there to try and kill him. Like, basically drew an X on the map and said he's right here. And he got weathered out for 2 days. Snowstorms. One of the guys he went with got hurt. He ended up having to walk off the mountain hurt, and they never ended up seeing that ram because it snowed for 3 days. And then another guy that I kind of grew up hunting with, Dwayne Morrell, I hunted with him like even when I couldn't even hunt by myself because he was older than me. I grew up with hunting with him, and I phoned him and asked him if he wanted to kill a legal ram, and we went up there and killed it. Nice sheep, like a mid 160 9-year-old ram, beautiful sheep, and it was pretty chaotic. We'd seen him in the same spot, and they had to make the big play, go up and over the top. The closest we could get to was 700 yards, and I said to Dwayne, like, can you make the shot? He's like, oh yeah, I practice, and he does. Like, give credit where credit's due. This kid can shoot. And this ram's standing there with 6 other rams, and he shoots. It blows over top of this ram's back. Like, the ram's standing still. Blows over his back. All the rams go running. This big ram's standing there. He doesn't know what the heck's happening. All of a sudden, he starts to run across the basin, and Dwayne lets another one fly and just folds him. I was like, look at him. I'm like, you can't hit that thing standing still at 700, but that thing's doing Mach 90 across the basin, and you can dummy him? Doesn't make much sense. But anyways, yeah, he hammers this ram, and we go up there, and yeah. And fast forward, like, probably 6 years, we killed Emery's ram within 100 yards of that ram.
That's wicked.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's cool. That's cool, man. They're so cool too. I mean, I think they might be the coolest looking sheep, maybe. I don't know.
Pretty rad. Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, you've hunted overseas, like you did Kyrgyzstan, right? And what did you take over there? You took a Marco Polo, right?
Yeah, I took a Marco Polo and an Ibex. And then my buddy Brannon, he killed the biggest Marco Polo ever killed in Kyrgyzstan.
Nice.
On that trip, he killed a really old, not a big Ibex, but a really old one. And then my fiance, she killed a really old, good Ibex. So that was a good trip. It was fun. It was, yeah.
How does hunting like those Marco Polo sheep compare to like hunting stones or bighorns over here?
Well, they're limited over there, right? So not everybody residents can't hunt Marco Polo in Kyrgyzstan. I'm not sure on the regs and the laws now, but at the time, you couldn't hunt them. You could hunt ibex maybe it was like one in every 5 years, or you got one a lifetime maybe.
Oh wow!
They were super regulated, and they were only allowed to give out so many permits at the time. It's not a hard hunt. I will say that it's hard elevation. Like, you want to be in the best shape that you can.
Yeah.
Because the elevation is what screws you. Tons of travel. You're tired because big time changes. But it's not a hard hunt. Like, I shot my sheep from the valley bottom. Brandon shot his ram. He was hiking, and they have like a lot of sheep. Like, I'm not joking when I say we've seen probably over 1,000 sheep and well over 1,000 ibex.
Whoa.
In a week. Like, there's tons of animals.
Send them over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty neat lifestyle over there. And I mean, just as good as the hunting is, the whole seeing the way people live over in those countries is awesome.
How long was that hunt? Like, how long were you actually hunting?
We were there. It was a 7-day hunt. We were there for, I want to say, 2 weeks. We spent 5 days in Bishkek after the hunt and just traveled around and sightseed and probably drank way too much beer. ate way too much food, but yeah, we had to wait a few days to get permits and stuff to bring them home. Like, in the States at the time, you couldn't bring your stuff back with you on the airplane. You had to wait and get it shipped. But Canada, you could, as long as it was super clean and no meat. Everything was salted and all the bones were gone and skull caps were removed. You could bring it back on the airplane. We had a little bit of difficulty with my Marco Polo cape. It had like a centimeter by centimeter chunk of fat.
Oh shit!
And the vet at the Toronto airport wasn't going to let me bring it back. And I kind of had to pull her aside and be like, "Man, like, this cost me a lot of money.
Yep.
Can I just grab a knife and take it to the corner and scrape it off? Like, this isn't something you just send back to Kyrgyzstan." Like,
yeah.
So thankfully she was super understandable and let us deal with it. We had to take care of it, bring it back to the tannery where my wife works, and let her know that it was dealt with within days, right? Or else they would have taken it from me.
Oh wow. That's wild. That's super cool. So, I mean, I don't know what the regulation is like now. I know they're just in the middle of changing it in the US about what you can bring back, right? I think we're still good to go in Canada. Probably. I know a few guys that have went. I got a buddy, Matt and I actually were supposed to hunt with him this year for whitetails. Cole from Lethbridge. He just booked an ibex hunt. So he's taken off. Him and one of the other guys that was up there. They're going on Marco Polo and ibex hunting. So yeah, I'm just I don't know if it changes. I'm just looking at the photos of that ram, man. That's crazy. The big twisters on them, like, they're wicked. Yeah, so like we were actually, the morning we woke up, first morning we were there, and like I said, I'm not joking, like, base camp was 12,000 feet there. Like, I struggled to put my socks on. Me and Brandon got sick. Brandon was sick the whole time. He was sick the whole trip. If he wasn't puking, he was dry heaving, he was stuffed up, he had cold, he was sick. That's dangerous, elevation sick, and then it is. It really is, because then you're trying to push yourself, right? Like, you invest a lot of time, money, effort, right, to get over there, and you don't want to be sick. And my fiance, for sure, was hands down in way better shape than all of us. She never got sick at all. We were shooting, and me and Brandon were shooting, and his scope actually come loose. So he had a ringamaroo with rifles. He had a rough go there with rifles. He ended up using mine, but Kelsey was shooting, and she's a good shot. She can get it done. And they were actually, the guys were super surprised that there was actually a woman in camp, let alone a woman that can shoot. They just don't see it. And so that afternoon, that morning, we finished shooting, and the guy came up and said, "We go kill ibex." And we're like, "Right now?" And he's like, "Oh, right now. Get on horse, we go kill ibex." And when I talk like that, like the English is bad. It's very broken and non-existent. So when you talk like that for a week, you find yourself talking to other people when you get home like that, because you're just used to talking. Right? So we take off on these horses, and these horses are they're like 3.5 feet tall. They're mountain horses. They'll go up anything, down anything, over anything. They don't give a shit. Yeah. They're good mountain horses. So we get up to this top, and we're
we get to the top of this mountain, and we actually watched like a 50-inch Marco Polo going to China. And the guide looked at us and he says, "Oh, you no kill, go to China. You don't have passport. He does." It was kind of just a joke, right? Like we couldn't go to China, but the Ram could go because he had a passport.
Nice.
So we're sitting on the top of the mountain, and we're at about 14,000 feet. And our one, I don't even know what he'd be, a guide assistant, tracker, I don't know what they are. He takes off on this horse and way back down the valley. And they're talking on the radio, and Beck, my guide, says, "We go down." So we went down. And we're sitting, like, we get down to the bottom of the valley, and there's like this platform all set up. And I was like, I think I know what's going on here. This has been done before. So we get all our guns set up, and they're talking on the radio, and you can't understand them because they're speaking Russian or Kyrgyz. And 20 minutes later, Beck's pointing up on the top of the mountain, and here comes an ibex Billy over the top, and another one, and another one. And all of a sudden, there's like, you'd have to see the video. Matt's seen the video. There's probably 200 ibex Billies coming over this mountain on this trail towards us. And it's all like younger Billies. We're waiting, and he's telling us to wait until the big ones get down to us to be like a 200-yard shot. And once these younger Billies got down to about 200 yards, the wind changed, and it was chaos. There was fucking ibex running from here to China. This one big group of ibex went to about 600 yards, and Kelsey's been practicing pretty far, like 400 or 500. So she was pretty comfortable. And I kept telling her, like, just a number, it's just a number, just settle and breathe. And this ibex is getting farther and farther, and I'm ranging them. And finally he stops. I just set the turret on the gun, and I said, "He's 500 yards, just shoot him for 500. Boom, she shoots him and dummies him, and he kind of runs across the ridge and beds down under a big rock cliff.
Nice.
I ended up missing a big ibex. They went over the top, and then they ended up running to Brandon because he stayed up top, and he killed his. So we double-header.
Nice.
And, it was good. He said Kelsey had a pretty long shot. Brandon had a not so long shot. He had a rush shot, but we made it work, and we had some beautiful pictures on the top of the mountain with some dead ibex. But I think it was the next day. Yeah, the next day we were going out to look for Marco Polo. We were going to go on the horses and just go into some backcountry. We didn't even get out of the truck. We drove to the trailhead, and the guys were bringing the horses up, and two Marco Polo ran through the river, and we're running up the high side above the truck. And my guide's like, "Big ram." So I got out. And when he stopped, he was pretty far. He was over 500. Let him have it, and just under 50-inch wide. He's like 4 feet wide, really big twisty, right? Like you can see in the picture.
Oh yeah, he's wild.
And then, Brandon had some pretty, like I said back in the story, he had some bad luck with guns. He missed like 2 rounds, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. If he listens to this, he might correct me, but
yeah,
2 for sure. But just bad gun experiences, right? Like one that wasn't really sighted in, scope come loose. Then he had my Creedmoor. He wasn't used to it. He ended up missing around, and they were looking for blood. And it was a clear miss. He shot over its back, and then the guy just taps him on his shoulder and starts pointing down the ridge, and he's like, "Shoot!" And this ram's chasing this ewe up the ridge to us, and he dummies it, kills it, and it's like a 63 by 65. Biggest ram ever killed in Kyrgyzstan, other than one a Sheik shot out of an airplane. It's like 70 inches, but they don't count it, right? Because it's not really fair chase. But yeah, at the time, that was the biggest ram ever killed in Kyrgyzstan. So that was pretty cool, right?
Not a Sheik shot out of an airplane.
And that's the thing too, like that's the way it is over there, right?
Yeah, the Sheik Agostino.
Where you at?
Where you at, dog? He's in his airplane. Man, that's wicked. I that sounds killer, but I mean, like, I'm too fat for that. 14,000 feet, forget it.
The horses do all the work, man. Like they just said, hang on. And I don't mind riding horses. I mean, it's not my favorite. I'd rather walk, but my fiance Kelsey grew up riding horses, so she's in glory, right? So we're riding horses, and she's just loving this, and I'm like, my ass is sore by the third second in this the first day. And so yeah, Brandon kills this ram. It's awesome. We're doing good. Now I just have an ibex to kill. I haven't killed my ibex. So we make a play on this giant ibex. It was huge. It was over 50. Huge ibex. We found him right before dark. Had to make this big stalk around, get to where he was, and just mountain hunting, man. He wasn't there when we got there, and we got back down to the horses, and it was dark, but it was like big old full moon, and we're riding across this old dried up lake that's kilometers long. It's huge. And we're riding back, and we're actually like riding the horses back. My horse had zero rhythm. So like everybody else's horse, you can actually kind of get in the saddle and kind of rhythm with them and ride. My horse has zero rhythm. I'm like, if I'm not smacking my ass and the balls off the saddle, I'm hitting my head off this horse's neck. It was bad. And Kelsey's just laughing at me the whole time because she's enjoying it. And, it was shitty. But the next day I ended up killing a pretty decent ibex, and I was sick, I don't know if it was elevation or some suspect chicken. You don't know.
Chicken?
I haven't figured that one out yet, but I ended up killing a pretty good ibex on the last day and come home. If you're not a fan of eating sheep, and I don't mean like wild sheep, I mean like domestic sheep.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like lamb. I mean like they're too old to serve their purpose, so now they're going to get cooked. Don't go, because you're going to eat a lot of it. We eat a lot of domestic sheep.
I think I'll stay home.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, and Brian, I booked with Brian Martin, and he was super awesome with the hunt, and he had some really good pointers, and he kind of warned us and said, the food's not the best. Bring some mountain house. I was like, I can't be that bad. I'll eat anything. Well, should have brought some mountain house for sure. But there was like the cook that they had in camp did cook some really awesome things. But you definitely ate your fair share of domestic sheep, and Kurdistan's really big on horse meat. I don't know if I think it's their like national meat. So they always want you to drink horse meat, right? Like we got to eat horse meat. We got to the hotel super late that night, all our animals, and we're checking in. 5-star hotel, like it's marble, everything, gold, it's beautiful, but cheap. Like $120 a night, cheap. It's like staying in the Best Western, but with everything marble and gold.
Yeah.
So we're unloading our luggage, and the bellhop, he asked us if we were going to try some horse milk. It's alcohol. It's fermented into alcohol. I'm like, no, I'm not going to try that. He's like, well, it's our national drink, but you got to try it. Like, no, I ain't trying that. So we never tried it. But one night we had quite a few drinks in the bar, and we tried everything on the menu. And one of it was pickled horse meat. And we're still investigating where that meat actually comes from, because they said it was from like the hip or the groin area. And nah, it's not. We don't know what it is. Kind of looks like either maybe eyelids or wiener. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it was bad.
Your favorite, eh?
I'm gonna call this episode "Pickled Horse Dick" with Kyle and Matt.
Yeah, well, that's what we think it is. Like, I got a pretty good video of Brandon like dry heaving so bad over top of the booth in the restaurant. The waiter's trying not to laugh. He's trying to be polite. He's just covering his mouth, and like me and Brandon are both dry. Like he left. He had to go to the bathroom puke.
Dude. That's rough.
Other than that, like the food in Bishkek was phenomenal and cheap. Like cheap. Cheap. It was a good trip.
Yeah, that sounds wicked, man. I haven't decided if that's on my list of things to do yet. I have so many things to accomplish here in BC, and I don't know. It looks super fun. That ram is super cool, and the stories from over there sound just insane. I think they say the most dangerous part of that trip is just getting there and getting to camp, right?
10 hours of highway, and there's like their highways are like you pick your shittiest paved highway in your town. Yeah, that's the highway, and they don't care. They'll do 200 if they decide to. Right? they don't care when they drive, and they're herding cattle, they're herding goats, they're herding sheep. Like Kurdistan traffic jams is what we call them. If you come around the corner in a canyon, all of a sudden there's 100 sheep down the middle of the road, and there's a herder walking them to town, or you're in town and there's a bunch of sheep in the middle of the road, right? Like, yeah, it's pretty neat. I could probably keep you busy for 2 hours just on Kurdistan alone, the stories and the things that we've seen.
That's wicked. You've yeah, no kidding. You've hunted some other places too. I think I see here you've been to South Africa.
Yeah, we did. We did South Africa. Whatever, the whole family went to that one though.
What's that? The whole fam went.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked. What drew you to hunting in South Africa?
Nothing, actually. Same thing. I had no desire. Kelsey wanted to go really bad one day, and I was at Sheep Show working. At the time, I was a pro staff for Anka, and I was working the booth at Sheep Show, and there was just a South Africa safari booth right across from us, and we kept eyeing each other up, and we were talking. I finally went and watched some videos because he had some little line hunts, and I went over there and started to chat with them, and finally he's looking at the camel, and I said, I'll tell you what, if you buy some camel, I'll book a hunt. You tell me what's. He's like, well, I got a $4,000 special right now, $4,000, 2 people, 6 animals. That includes your stay. You just got to get there. Cheap. Yeah, so I told my wife, hey, what about this deal? She's like, oh, that's cheap. Okay, well, let's do it. So I booked the hunt, but I booked it for the girls, just for her and my daughter to do.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to Eli Van and the outfitter, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do a cootie. So it just started off as these 6 animals and a cootie. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And now it's in, when's Sheep Show? January?
Yeah.
Yeah, January. So by March, now I'm at the big game banquet, and I've changed my cootie hunt. Now I'm hunting sable, Cape buffalo. I'm hunting like 11 animals now. Everything's changed, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we ended up going, and the girls killed everything. I didn't end up killing a Cape buffalo. We just couldn't find a big mature ram, or not a ram, sorry, a big mature bull.
Yeah.
And I ended up trading. I killed a big sable. I killed a 53-inch sable. Traded the buffalo in, and I killed a big water buck. I killed a big golden wildebeest. What else did I get? A big animal, or a big impala, fleece buck. I don't know. I killed like 7 or 8 animals.
Nice.
I never did kill a kudu, so I got to go back and kill a kudu or Cape buffaloes.
Kudus might be the freakiest looking animal ever.
They are. They're besides the sable, they're the prettiest animal. We'd seen some. I just kind of wanted to kill. I wanted to kill a big one, and we just didn't see a really big one.
Yep, I hear you for sure. How did you find hunting over there? Like, was it challenging? What did you think?
We went end of April or mid-April, so it was still really hot and thick. But I mean, their laws are different than ours, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you go over there, you can kill an animal at daylight, and your PH is going to crack you a beer, and you're going to drive around drinking beer looking for the next one. So pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be tough. I mean, the guys that are over there that work, they're phenomenal. Like, I wish that half the people, 90% of the people here could get the tracking genes that those guys have. Those guys are if you were to shoot an impala in the foot, them guys are going to find it.
Yeah.
That's just, they're so good at it, right? That's their livelihood. That's how they stay alive. That's how they get paid. That's how they eat. They have to do it. Good job.
Yeah. I had this conversation. I can't remember who it was with. It might have been with Robbie from Blood Origins, or it might have been with Ben O'Brien from Meat Eater. But we had this conversation about kind of how hunting in South Africa works and how it sort of keeps their economy afloat in a lot of ways, and it keeps those animals on the landscape. I think that's a thing that a lot of people look at African hunts and look at it at face value is, maybe wealthy dudes or not wealthy dudes going over there and killing stuff. And they don't understand that you're doing a lot for those animals by doing that and spending those dollars over there.
Yeah, we actually noticed poaching firsthand. I got my golden wildebeest had a cable wrapped around its neck. It was cut right through to the spinal cord. Would he have died? Who knows? They could have flew a chopper in and maybe got him to a vet. But that was definitely, he was trapped. Whether it was one of his workers or whether it wasn't. I know the surrounding property, we caught the guys cutting the fence and coming in and steal fire. They were stealing wood, fires.
Oh, wow.
But poaching is huge in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I don't know, obviously, why, but it's probably not speculation for a lot of people. But it's money, right? Like it's the demand of rhino horns, or the demand of this, the demand of that, and then it's the survival of life for the people that are doing it. Like those guys over there, the African American people, what are they going to want with a rhino horn? It's not for them. Obviously, you know that, right? It's for the person that's paying them to get it for them. That's my experience with it anyways, and anything to do with poaching. They're doing it to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then there's obviously the economic benefit of us guys going over there and paying for those hunts and kind of keeping them safe and all that kind of, well, not safe, but keeping them taking care of it on the landscape, right?
Yeah. Our trip to Africa was super quick. It was 7 days. Like we literally killed Kelsey's zebra. We didn't even have to, we took pictures. We didn't even have time to process it. They took it to the shack and then we had to go to the airport. We had to fly out.
Oh, wow.
So it was too time crunch. So I would like to go back for that reason.
Yeah.
I'd love to take Matt. Like, I mean, I think he would enjoy it because it's a relaxing hunt. There's no pressure. It's fairly cheap.
Yeah.
But it's one of them hunts that you can just let your hair down and just have fun. Right?
Yeah.
And back to the whole conservation end of it, like driving from the cities back to these compounds where you're hunting or ranches. If you're not on a ranch or anywhere that doesn't have a high fence, I'm sorry, you're not seeing it. There's no animals. Yeah. Because they've either been poached, hit by cars, killed by other people. That these compounds and these people that have these farms and these hunts, there's what keeping those animals there. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the guys that's kind of a last minute entry to our goat hunt this year is my buddy Jonathan. He's from South Africa. He grew up there, and I mean, he has a lot of really kind things to say about the hunting operations there and how much they do for the animals, and the fact that a lot of those animals wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those operations, right? Pretty interesting stuff.
100%. I know. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's so far removed from the situation that we have here, where there's value on those animals without. I mean, the economic side of it helps with guide and outfitters here in BC, but there's value on them even without that industry here, right? It's built into our society over here. It's not so much over there.
Well, supply and demand, right? Like it's no different than what's going on in North America with sheep right now, right? Like there's such a big number on their heads, and that's exactly what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Sheep hunting is such a huge fad in the last 10 years that, I mean, do yourself a favor and read Voices of the Mackenzies. It's a book from the Mackenzie Mountains, man. Like back when they first started guiding, just to see how the price, like, you know, where sheep hunt started at like $1,500, $700 for 7, and now we're pushing $40K. Yeah, like it's supply and demand, right? Obviously, things get more expensive, but it's supply and demand. Like, yeah, so many more people want to do it. I mean, I'd do the same thing if I was an outfitter. It would be no different.
I recently became friends with a guy that helped Gary Powell with Big Nine when they were first setting it up. And the stories that he has are just ridiculous, you know, like when they talk about money and stuff like that, it's insane. It's just insane. It makes no sense when you compare it to nowadays, right?
Yeah, well, and you even read Dream Rams of BC. Look how long it took Chadwick to kill his ram. It wasn't like he just flew in on an airplane, killed his ram, and flew home. It was a summer-long adventure to kill that ram, right? So yeah, obviously things need more money, right? Like trips, back trips, with helicopters and that, but yeah, it's just it's funny to see the elevate or the change and evolution and hunting and supply and demand, right? Like,
So Matt was saying that you were pretty involved in Wild Sheep Society of BC and kind of stepped down from your position there because you got so much going on at home with family and stuff.
Well, we had our little baby girl Letty.
Yep.
Under 2 years ago, and you know, I just tied up. I was busy at home, and that's a society that's done so much for sheep conservation, and now not just sheep, like what affects sheep is now affecting other ungulates in BC, right? So yeah, you're busy, and that if you can't jump in 2 feet to that society and put in all effort, then I feel like it's not something you should do. Like you need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
It was easy for me to kind of back out a little bit. You know, one day I'll get back involved, I'm sure. I still kind of help out a little bit on this end, but it's tough. You need to be super involved. It's not like your local rod and gun club. That's huge. They're representing BC. Yeah.
And I mean, well, it just seems Wild Sheep Society does a phenomenal job. I mean, I'm a big advocate of them, and I urge people that aren't members to become members, and I urge people that are members to go on one of the monthly payment plans and up your membership if you can afford it. Right? They're doing lots for us as hunters. So
we're very fortunate to have those guys putting in the time and the work that they're doing. For sure.
100%.
And yeah, so that's the nice thing, like you said, with Matt and his crew, them guys are getting involved pretty good, because the crew that is involved with the Wild Sheep Society, they've been there for a long time. Like Bill Pastrick's been there since Christ was a cowboy, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's time. It's time for the younger generation to step up, because those guys have done their job.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll still continue. Kyle Stetler and all them guys, they'll still continue to do what they need to do to keep sheep on the mountains in North America. Yeah. It's time that the younger generation steps up, because if they don't step up, my kids' generation, if Matt ever has kids, your kids' generation, they're not going to be able to hunt sheep. It's like Region 4 is already proposal for all LEH.
Yeah, I saw that.
Not be sheep, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't take care of that, my kids and their kids might never be able to do it. And that's where the selfishness needs to stop.
Yeah.
That's where we need to step back and think, like, what did our forefathers do for us? We need to do it for them now. Because if not, they won't have it.
Yeah, totally. I've been kind of ending these things lately, and I've been on a bit of a hiatus for a week or two here on podcasts. So we'll start this up again. I kind of want to end this. You being a guy that's a lifelong hunter, you've been involved in conservation, you've been all over the world. You've got your North America Big Ten. You've done many things that many hunters will spend a lifetime trying to achieve, and they will fail, right? So you know what you're talking about. So I guess the question I would ask is what do you think and what do you see as the biggest threat to hunting and the biggest threat to our wild game species in BC? Hard question.
I think, and I've hashtagged it lots on Instagram. Social media, man, kills us. It does. I mean, thankfully, a lot of guys are pretty tasteful. And hey, man, when social media burgers come out, I'm definitely not the best person with it, posting stuff you probably shouldn't. You know, we think it's okay, but maybe the person behind us that's not a hunter or maybe wants to be a hunter might not be okay with it. Like, social media is really trending to not be our friend with the hunting community, and that goes from all hunting in BC and all North America, right? So I think that people just need to be they need to take care of that. They need to be very skeptical of what they put on, and I don't think you should run away and not share the enjoyment of the hunts and that, but just be tasteful. Because a lot of antis, that's what they use. I've dealt with it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. There's topics I'd like to ask you about, but I won't. And the funny thing about some of those topics, like, you know, hounds and everything else, right? Is it's not unique to you. Like I have a good buddy in Alberta that killed a book cat a couple of years ago, and it's unreal. Like it's the things like amazing cat, super cool, like high fives all around. He hasn't even posted it on social media because he knows what will happen. Mm-hmm. He'll end up on the 6 o'clock news or something.
Oh yeah. And that's not even that. Like I posted a picture of me and Matt with his elk this year, and I killed a moose and I split it with my stepdad. And I mean, I got lucky and got that bison, and I split it with the outfitter. But I actually had a woman be like, "Do you guys actually eat all that meat? Like, it seems kind of senseless, but I do."
Yeah.
And then if I don't eat it, I give it to my wife's family. I give it to my sister. I give it to other parts of people that can't maybe they're not as well off, or maybe they don't have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that eating that meat, it's better for you. You know where it's coming from, right? So
yep. Yeah, I often I think it was the podcast with Ben. I kind of brought up this point about the willingness for us to be honest about the reasons why we hunt and what it means to us, and why we're selecting older age class animals and that kind of thing. And I don't know, for me personally, it's not just meat, like it's about the adventure and all that stuff, right? And I as a dude that is not a biologist, I think I'll have to leave it to them to decide what I can and can't take off the mountain. You know what I mean?
I think I'll maybe stab the BC ministry for this one, because it's they've done a very poor job in managing wildlife across BC. Yep. Not just these counties, not region 5-8, BC wide, right? And everybody that's ever going to listen to this or has anything to do with hunting knows that wildlife in BC has been mismanaged and it needs to change. What needs to happen? I don't know. Does everybody need to say, screw it, we're not going to buy a hunting license in Texas this year, we're boycotting hunting in BC this year?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what I mean? I don't know what needs to change, but it needs to change. I don't know, kind of off topic a little bit, but
yeah,
there needs to be
it's fair.
Change to ensure.
It's a fair point, man. And like going back to that kind of mentorship thing, the only guys that can answer these questions for, like I started hunting as an adult. Matt, you've been hunting your whole life, but guys like you that have a lifetime of hunting under your belt, you can see a couple of those cyclic evolutions of the populations of animals. You've seen the boom and bust, and then you can kind of see how stuff is trending, right? Whereas a lot of us guys that started hunting as adults, we haven't seen it, we don't know, right? So we need to really lean on guys like you.
Well, there needs to be more guys like that are willing to help out and show and mentor and teach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm legit right in the middle of my kid's just in the middle of reading his score. He's just go down. He's got to write his test August 15th, and it's fun for me. He rolls his eyes. Oh, I've got to read my core again for half an hour every night. But it's, I don't understand. It's not just about the hunting, but it's that core program teaches you a lot about life, with its first aid and not even just the ethics part of life. It teaches you a lot of things that I wish they teach it in school. So there's people that do teach it in school, and I wish it would be mandatory. Yeah. Honestly, I wish it was mandatory for kids that want to take.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, there's starting hunting as an adult. I mean, I've said this on here many times, I mean, neither of you guys probably had this issue at all growing up hunting, but you kind of end up with this disconnection from your food, right? And eventually you sort of, if you're the kind of person that thinks about things in a deep, meaningful way, not to get all Hallmark cardy, but you start to okay, this steak, this $40 T-bone that I'm eating was attached to an animal at one point. What does that look like? What is that? What does that mean? And then you kind of start to go through things, and I think a lot of people arrive at hunting that way. That's not exactly how I arrived at hunting, because I've kind of always been in the outdoors and done lots of other crap, but yeah, no, you're right. I think it's a really good component, and I think it's a really good way for people to be connected to their food too. I mean, my eldest daughter, I mean, all she wants to do is be out looking at deer through spotting scopes and looking at sheep and looking at goats and all kinds of stuff. It's integral in our lives. And I mean, when my kids eat a fish or eat a steak, they're definitely aware of that thing was alive at one point. You know what I mean? Didn't just fall into the cellophane off of a tree.
Well, and that's I actually had a conversation with a lady. I play pretty competitive ball, and we had a ball game last night. And one of the girls, her husband's a hunter. I don't think he's killed anything in the last 10 years, but he's still a hunter. He's a huge fisherman.
Yeah.
He doesn't keep fish. He lets them all go. But we were talking about hunting, and I just passed on the message that my dad was putting on the board in the middle of August. If anybody wants to take it, they can take it. She's like, I don't think I could ever shoot it. And I'm like, I don't think I could ever watch it die. I said, fair enough. And I said, as a hunter, a conservationist, and a human being, if you don't feel remorse or saddened by taking an animal's life, there is something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I've been super successful. I've been successful with Matt. I've been successful with my dad, family, and there isn't one animal that I've been a part of that I haven't thanked for.
Yeah.
Because that animal's obviously giving its life for us, right? But you have to show respect. And I think that back to your question about the things that I would push to keep hunting in the future is for more hunters to be like that. And I think as a society, most hunters are, but I think we need to keep pushing that trend that this is something that we've done as a pastime in our history, but if we don't take care of it, we're not going to have it.
Yep.
And that's being selective, to not over harvest, just doing what's right.
Predator control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, going back to kind of your social media point, showing remorse when you kill an animal or whatever, it's like, when I first got into hunting, one of the hardest things to wrap your head around, maybe before you've killed something, or like maybe before you've like had a ton of time in the field, or I don't know what the threshold is where it changes, but like when you see videos of like, I don't know, I don't need to name anybody, but like, the television show personalities, the TV personalities that, shoot the deer at 700 yards and the thing buckles and doesn't go down right away. And they're all high-fiving and the thing gets back up and, they have to shoot it after they've already celebrated. And it's just like they're just making kind of a mockery of guys that are actually thoughtful and ethical. You know what I mean? Like we've all made mistakes in the field, it happens. But I don't know. It's just not something I would want to highlight on a TV show. Like,
yeah, leave it in the field.
Exactly. And like the other component of it is like, you kind of make that mistake once and then going forward, it's part of sort of your, I don't know if the due diligence or making sure it's fair and making sure that thing dies as fast as possible. Right. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe I'm going to turn the table here a little bit.
Let's do it.
Let's, just because the whole 700-yard shot come up. 2 scenarios. You got just your regular hunter, maybe gets out a couple weekends a year, goes to the rifle range, shoots 5 bullets at the range at 100 yards. Good enough.
Yeah.
You get the guys that are long range hunting, the guys that are practicing and they're going to the range, do diligently a couple of times a week. They're pounding the lead, they're pounding the powder, they're putting time, money, effort, and they're consistently shooting. And you know what I mean? You know where I'm going with this?
Yep.
It's like, where do you draw the line, or where do you say what's ethical and what's not ethical, right? Like the guy that doesn't put in the time and it's only 300, maybe I can make that shot. For me, I practice long range.
Yep.
Do I like shooting long range? If I have to, if I'm comfortable.
Yep.
If I practice over 700-800 yards, those 200, 300 yard shots, they're just chip shots.
Totally.
And I've told Matt this too. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 100 yards or 700 yards. It's just the number.
Yep.
If you physically can't get it through your mind how to shoot, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You're going to miss it 100 or you're going to miss it 7.
Yeah.
And the whole fad of the $15,000 guns, it drives me nuts. If you're a $5 shooter, a $1,500 or a $10,000 or a $15,000 gun is not going to fix you. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It's not. You think it will, but it's not. If you can't shoot a $500 gun, you're not shooting a $1,500 gun or a $5,000 gun. You're not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I get all caught up with the whole long range and all these expensive guns. If you can't shoot, you can't shoot.
Yeah, totally.
So I think people need to practice.
Yeah. So to kind of clarify a bit, in that example where I said, the TV show personality that buckles the deer at 700 yards and they're up celebrating before they know it's down. Yeah. I wasn't really highlighting the distance of the shot. It's just like that scenario really exaggerates stuff because there's no opportunity for the follow up when the thing crawls through the sagebrush and ends up in a kudu or a hoodoo or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the long range component, I mean, Matt knows where my brain is on this because we have these conversations all the time. And I mean, like, I'm about as dedicated to archery stuff as anybody, right? I spend a great deal of time getting proficient so I can shoot out to like 40 yards with my recurve. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's no different than a guy that gets proficient to shoot out to 700 with his rifle. Because if you're not putting in that time and doing your best to be able to make lethal shots consistently, it doesn't, nothing else matters, right? So I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I think probably a rifle hunter shooting out long range that's practicing is more lethal than a bow hunter up close. But yeah, I mean, I think it all points back to sort of the kind of root of that question, where it's about where your dedication lies and then what your level of comfort looks like. Like our buddy, I mean, all of our mutual friend Jeff Agostino with that goat last year, right? I mean, that was a long shot, but I mean, the guy shoots that far. He knows what he's doing. He can make it happen. Could I do that shot? No. Like I killed my deer last year at 250 yards and I was freaking, to quote Snyder, shaking like a chihuahua shit and choker chain, right? Like it's not something that I do.
I think I'm a good example of what you guys are saying too. I'd probably call myself a couple of years ago the $5 shooter that Kyle's talking about, and obviously started shooting more and more. And I knew going up north stone sheep hunting last year that there's a likelihood that your shot could be a poke. Obviously, we don't want it to be. We want to get as close as we can. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you're just not able to get as close as you like. And I shot religiously last year leading up to that hunt, at least twice a week for the couple months into that hunt. And it sure paid off. I ended up having to shoot my ram at 550 yards.
Yeah, nice.
Up there last year and got it done with one shot. And I'm super happy that I definitely practiced, because there's no way I probably would have made that shot if I hadn't.
Yeah, I think it comes down to whatever your level of proficiency is, right? Like my main hunting partner, Chad, I mean, the guy's a Jedi with a rifle. Like he can put them together at just about any distance. You know, he teaches long range courses, all kinds of crap, and he knows what he's doing, right? If I have him laying beside me when I need to make shots, it sure helps. But that's sort of part of what I'm doing with I have a couple of rifle builds on the go right now, Kyle, and part of that, Matt knows this, but part of that is me going to be dedicating some time in the future to actually shooting them out way past distances that I want to kill animals at, in order to get more proficient. Because last year, shooting that deer after, you know, bailing down off the cliffs and doing a big long stalk and being out of breath and not feeling good and sweaty, and I mean, I wear glasses all fogged up in like the worst possible scenario. Like you know, you what does Barklow say? Like you fall to your lowest level of training, right? And my level of training with a rifle is not very high right now, even though I've been shooting forever, but still. No, so I think it comes down to your level of proficiency or your level of training, maybe, is how I would answer that.
I think that's fair.
100%. I think a lot of people have that one animal too. Like Matt knows, like I watched Matt shoot at a whitetail buck multiple times, and you know, that's kind of where the whole, we need to fix the shooting issue. And I was no different. I'm still the same guy. Like a whitetail deer. You put a 130-inch whitetail deer in front of me, yeah, it's sounds bad, but man, I'm weak at the knees, man. I'm going to miss it. That's just who I am. I can shoot elk and deer or elk and mule deer and sheep. I don't care. Put 130 whitetail deer in front of me and I'm going to miss. One thing I've never accomplished, and I've killed some big bucks, but they're not free range. So it's not even close to being the same, but I've still yet to break the 130-inch free range whitetail deer mark. Not that I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Just can't hit them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're in whitetail land. Don't tell anybody.
What the heck?
I said you're in whitetail land. Don't tell anybody that they're over there.
Well, honestly, I think there's bigger whitetail in different spots in the province. We have some big bucks here, but not like we used to. But It's just a critter that I have a hard time with it.
Yeah,
really do. I'm not ashamed of it. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you going as a hunter. If you don't get that thrill to keep you moving forward, to better yourself, be a better hunter, to stop hunting.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't get that. Like I said, the sheep hunting, the whole sheep hunting thing, like a lot of guys, your first ram's the hardest. You just want to kill a ram. You just want to get that monkey off your back. But after that, just the whole trips of going up north or into bighorn country, just them trips alone, seeing the country, seeing sheep, that's what it's all about. Spending the time in the field. I have just as many memories with Matt as I do with my family, and I die a happy man. I don't want to die right now, but if I did, I would die. I've accomplished some things with friends and family that a lot of people never will. My son, you know what I mean? He's killed some awesome things. My daughter's killed a lynx. She's killed a big whitetail buck. She's killed a big mule deer. She's got a 7-foot black bear. She's 16 years old.
Missed a 12-inch Billy.
Missed giant Billy.
That's awesome.
Accomplishing things that a lot of 16-year-old girls and girls alone will never do. So those are memories that you live with forever.
No kidding. That's so awesome. I'm glad you're passing the torch on to the kids and having them out in the field. I love that photo you sent me of your whole family with that bear. That's wicked.
Yeah, everybody was there except for the daughter. She had to work, but it was pretty neat. Letty sees a lot. The girl, she's been doing a lot of things and been a lot of places, and she's doing good.
Wicked. Well, any final thoughts, boys?
No.
You're good, Matt.
Kyle?
No, it was good. It'll be good to do it again another day.
Yep, for sure.
Like I said, there's so many topics we touched on this. It's so short a time that you could just go forever, right?
I know. It's
we'll have lots more stories after this coming season.
No kidding. That's like when we first started doing this thing, with all my different buddies and different friends and stuff inside this space. It's like, it's no different than our phone calls that we would have on the way to work every day. You just BS with your buddies and talk about the stuff that you care about. Now we just hit the record button at the front end and try not to say too many naughty words, right?
Yeah. Actually, me and a buddy, Kyle there, we made a pact. We were going to grow, I used to have the biggest beard. We were going to grow mustaches bear season. I got a mullet, actually a skullet because I'm bald on the front.
Oh, nice.
So I told the lady I'm keeping it until I kill it. And now we're not going sheep hunting in August, so I got to try and kill a bighorn. If not, it's going to be a long 12 months with a mustache and
a long winter. Well, next time we check in, we'll have to hear if you still have a mustache and a skullet going.
Well, hopefully, we go on our trip in September. We might be able to crack around. That'd be pretty cool. But it's growing on me now.
Well, maybe I'll join you in the Skullet Club, but I think my wife might leave me, so it's probably out. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear on our website at wildernesslocals.net.